And like that we are returned. I'm glad I've got different volume options for each different game, because holy bajoogery, it gets a bit weird when my headset would start playing the audio on my computer the second I start over another one otherwise. Okay, so let's maximize that. While I'm at it, I probably should attach the HDMI to my screen, the extra, so that I can actually look at all of my separate sheets that I will inevitably be opening. Where is it? And blabber? That's not. Or is that it? That's not it, that's weird. Is it you? That's the one. Two screens! And everything is good with the world. Since streaming my Switch, I have been using my extra screen for the Switch so that I can still see what's going on, and it has been very weird not seeing videos on the side. No, I should probably put some music on before everyone gets here. Really do want to try find some better music than just the same like 7 that I have, but there's very few that are copyright free. So if I start playing copyrighted stuff, YouTube is really not going to enjoy the VODs. Oh, hello.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Abend.
How are we all?
Well, me, myself and I are okay. How about you?
I've been good. Spending hours upon hours on the new Resident Evil 4 game.
Nice. How is it?
I'm a major Resi fan,
Hmm.
and I love the original. And yes, it does tick all the right boxes.
Nice. Well, I had something I wanted to say. That wait, Resi 4 is the one with Leon, right?
Yeah.
Now tell me, is that bitch that you're supposed to be protecting still a burden?
She's a bit better. She's a bit better.
Reassuring.
She has a personality. She has a personality.
I mean, to be fair, that's okay. That's fun enough, considering I can
Gosh,
handle it. A character being useless.
she was basically a cardboard cutout in the original, and
Yeah.
had the personality and expression of cardboard as well. But here, she actually has a personality, and you actually want to protect her.
Good.
She's cute and innocent. You want to help her.
She's a president's daughter, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was fine the first time I played it, but on New Game Plus, when I've got all the upgraded weapons and everything, and I'm speedrunning Russian,
She's just dragging behind.
there have been some issues.
Shame you
But she
can't just
keeps
shove her
it.
on a little carriage or something and just glide along.
But there is one flaw.
Mm.
In the original, you could give her the command to follow or wait,
Mm.
whereas now it's either she has to be very close, or she can hang back a little, but she can still move around.
Yeah.
Not as good, because in the original you could just dump her in a box while you dealt with everything. But now there's only like two instances I can recall where there are boxes where you can just dump her in while you deal with everything. But overall, it's still very good.
I'm assuming that's not literal. Or do you
No.
literally put her in a box? Because I have sort of a Mandela effect with that game, where I vaguely remember, and again Mandela effect, notwithstanding, hello Mosey, where you
Uh,
do actually tell her to hide.
it's basically that where you can tell her to hide. Basically, there are two instances where there's an empty locker. You can tell her to hide in them.
Mm.
So that was it. The rest she's about, and if there are explosions, she gets hit.
Hello Mosey. Have you played Dead by Daylight? Good.
What, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I played with Rachel a whole lot before.
I do like it. I like being the killer more than anything, but I've been trying to get an excuse to play it again. But I'm just not fond of the try-hardy, 360ing, flashlight banging fucking survivors.
Rachel has created a group called Spooky, like Spooky Chat or something like that,
Hmm.
where before it was myself, her, and Sava, and Connor as well.
Hmm.
We would get together and play Dead by Daylight. We always did the survivors. We rarely did the killers.
So here's a bit of context before I say the next part. I have a stream on at the moment. Rachel is currently in that said stream, and she said, play with me, Lee, I will play! Yes, Rachel, I would like to. I do actually, I played a crap load of the game way back when. Again, mostly as killer because I just enjoyed the hunt and the powers and,
Yeah.
and I was good at it, so.
I can remember we always played a Survivor, and then Chloe, joined the group.
Hmm.
So myself, Chloe, and Rachel would play a bit, and there were multiple times where Chloe would stream it, and while I'm trying to listen, and I tend to be the last survivor, so I'm listening for the sound the hatch makes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening to that, while Rachel and Chloe are chatting up a storm. And there was one bit where I'm like, "Shut up! I need to listen for the wind," because it was getting really stressful. So I couldn't tell if general wind sounds was the actual hatch. Hello.
It's been so long that for a second there I had to look at the chat to see if for certain we had everybody, and then I realised we were missing one, and my brain has just not been with any of this.
Not gonna lie, neither was my brain. I literally got home and I just monged the hell out. And yeah, I've still got my food in the oven, so at some point I will be quickly dipping downstairs,
That is fine.
playing it up, and then running straight back up here.
I made by hand today, weirdly, and then shoved it in an oven, but still, I can't remember what the fancier name of it was, but basically hand rolled. Why is it my brain goes to mush when I think of things? This is not how brains work. I'm literally imagining it in my fucking head, and the word is just not coming there. Anyway,
Hand roll.
Plain rolls, burrito.
Roll fajitas.
Basically hot dog, sausage bits and shit and stuff in
So
it
it's
again.
roll.
No, it's a whole thing. My brain's just not with me. When I figure it out, I'll send a picture.
Sausage casserole?
No. Don't worry about it. I just fucked it.
Is it wrapped in bread? Is it wrapped in potato?
Don't
What is
worry
it?
about it. We'll deal with it some other fucking time.
No, I want to know.
I'll send a
You're
picture
too
at some point.
Is it toad in the hole?
No,
So it's not open.
it's basically a hot dog, chips on the side, coleslaw with bow sauce, and yeah, there's a whole thing. I'll send a picture at some point.
Okay, fair enough. If it's a sausage casserole, I'm gonna yell at you.
It's not.
Okay, fair enough.
If it is, he's going to yell at you even more.
I'm so tired.
But yeah, it tasted very good, even though some of it was burnt. But the flavors were so amazing.
For me, I just went across the road, ordered pizza, and came back home. No, seriously, on Mondays, a pizza truck just comes like across the road, and every Monday I order one. They just come back home. The
Why
time
not?
is just brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah, man, why not?
Plus, they're really good. It's stone baked, like an open oven.
I had quite a crazy lunch today. Because me and parents had Chinese takeaway last night. We had enough for leftovers. Parents had today off, and I was like, oh, guess Mum's having that for tomorrow, because, yeah, so that makes sense. And then Mum said to me, so she said, you don't want to take the Chinese, does it? What do you mean? She said, you can have the Chinese for lunch if you want, but I wasn't sure if you want to take it, because your work colleagues might find it disgusting that you're taking takeaway leftovers. I went, I don't care what I think.
Oh, fuck
If
'em.
if I'm allowed to have it, I'm having it. So I had leftover Chinese for lunch, and it was fucking glorious. Oh. I've just realised Stefan's in the other Discord chat, so I'm gonna dip
Get
in
him.
and yeah, okay.
Hunt him down.
Right, be right back.
Yes, you do, Rachel. Yes, you do.
Oh, I forgot to mention. You remember the merchant in Resi 4?
Yes.
They made him a Cockney.
Well, what are you buying, lad? What are you selling? Oh, fucking hell, governor.
Is there a clip of that?
If you like,
Fuck
if you listen to his,
governor.
if you listen to his his audio lines, he goes, "Breaks over, I suppose."
Hold on, I'm listening to it now. Oh, sorry, Connor, hello.
Hi. He should be hopefully coming over in a minute, because I just jumped in, went, oh, and everyone in the server went, what the fuck, though? And Stefan, get your ass in here, boy. He was like, I was waiting on Figby. They said they would return, and then they returned. They're like, ah. And he's like, you said 15 minutes, not half an hour. And then I was like, yeah, Stefan, get your ass in D&D. It's D&D time. And I was like, oh yeah, have a lovely time, everyone else. And everyone was like, oh, okay, nice to hear from you. But I'm like, yep. And I just disappeared.
On a side note, I don't like the merchant's voice in the remake. He doesn't, or at least from what I was just listening to when you buy the guns. Because if I don't hear the welcome, I don't want to hear it. It is literally such an iconic line. And it's just the guy who wants you to buy his wares. Well, hello.
Am I assuming this is Resident Evil?
Welcome!
Yeah. He's basically a Cockney in the new game.
Welcome!
Oh.
Well, hello. Stefano. Everybody roll your d20s.
Already have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do it again because I said so. If you want to. Welcome.
I could roll it again, but I'd still be using my first roll.
Or will you? No, I'm kidding. You will. Don't worry about it. It's cool. You rolled again. You basically rolled an exemption. Nice.
The same row. All I did was just change character. From my login.
Quickly,
From
Connor,
my
change your character again.
I only have 2.
No, you don't. You should have more.
I've got Carrick and I've got 2 Heavenly Bear as the option.
Don't you have Torch? Everybody should have Torch.
No, I don't have Torch.
You don't have Torch? Hold on.
No, I don't have Torch.
Hold on, shut up. There you go, you've got Torch.
Okay. Let's do this.
That just felt very weird.
Ah!
Don't you let us down, Torch.
God damn it, Torch.
Torch the Almighty. I think it's safe to say that Varnex, you will be giving us... I'm going to say this will be a loose recap because a test of time
No,
on the mind.
I want it in detail because I can't remember. Who am I?
Uh,
Who are you guys?
I am almighty, not God. I'm somewhat more omnipotent than even
Bruce
he.
Almighty.
Exactly, Bruce. You can call me Bruce. That'll do.
Oh, do you want better? Why am I?
Because some dude one day had this idea for a character after one of his friends said, "Hey, I'm doing a thing," and he was like, "Oh, cool! I have an idea for a character." And now the character in question, which is the person you're asking why for, exists in this little world in our brains. And I tell you, if you live or die, it's weird.
That wasn't the explanation I was expecting,
Good.
but okay,
Well, deal
that's
with it.
well ordered.
Recap time, motherfucker.
Give me a second.
One.
One.
See, we gave you 2 seconds there. You're welcome.
I love it.
One extremely long, very stretched out second.
Why do we all share the same brain cells today?
Okay, fine.
Because we're all tired and somewhat fed up for the start of this week.
Yes.
Alright. Previously on Pokemon.
Pokemon?
Pokemon Johto Adventures.
Alright, so basically, we set off from base camp to go to the Sahagrin camp / base. On a journey, we decided to cross a large body of water across the river. Barnex, me, I decided to make the first step. I started to traverse the shallow ends. Then, as I started to get a bit deeper, a giant aquatic beach had tried to swallow him whole. I was able to step back, use breath weapon. Fortunately, it got the message and fucked off. Then, piranhas. Fortunately, with my monk skills, I created a platform of ice, jumped across, and so to make my way across the river. And to help others get across, we decided to create I tossed one end of the rope. Nadissa got the other end and tied it to the other side. Both ends tied to trees, we tried to shimmy our way across. But Carrick, he's a heavy boy. He was like, "Fuck this! I'll take the long route," and started to go around. As he tried to go around the long way, something tried to swallow him up underground. Fortunately, he's a strong boy. He was able to make his way out. Then, as we all made our way across the other end, we started to see a tentacle-like creature on the other side from where we came. Liquid pouring off his face, and it looks at us, and that was where the session ended.
Yes. I genuinely don't think there's anything to add to it. Also, I'm currently looking at a map on the side, and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck it's about and why there's a bunch of dicks on it. From you lot, obviously, but...
I would never.
Does anyone need inspiration?
Nope. I'm good.
I am divinely inspired by myself. I'm just gonna tinker with something real quick. Because the Roll20 system is so fantastic, there appears to be errors with some of the maps. So I'm gonna have to quickly go over them and make sure the ones that I need are working. Because if they're not, this is gonna be one theatre of the mind. So you can feel free to entertain yourselves momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. or deep and immense silence. You know, I mean, whatever. Who needs to talk? You guys do you, you know. Okay. So I think it should be fine. We will certainly find out. Worst case. As you all finish seeing that odd scene with a random, very wet, very bright white tentacled creature, it very quickly disappears. And as you all look forward to the destination ahead of you, you see the carriage that is buckled with a single, mostly very dead humanoid pressed between a wheel and a tree. This appears to be where they were caught off guard, and you can see where they were travelling through. They would have had to have come the direction that you guys were coming from, but there's no way in hell they would have gotten past all of them obstacles, you know, the giant hole in the ground filled with water, and then the very sinking sands that some of you had to bypass. So a question runs past each of you as to why they were coming this way. Did they not know about any of this, or did this come out of nowhere? But nonetheless, what do you guys want to do? You do have the carriage that was attacked right in front of you, or what's left of it.
Should we investigate the carriage, see if there's anything of use?
Take a look all around. See if, did they leave anything?
Make investigation checks for those of you who wish to have a look.
Okay.
So be it.
Can I roll something that's not a 2?
No.
Oh no, wait, that was me, not Varnex. Can I roll again?
No. You are one in the same.
You know, I might as well join if everyone's doing it. So, investigation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am the smartest one of us.
With the -2. So as you're all looking through the wrecked pieces of the carriage, there are a couple of boxes that have been tossed aside that are like half submerged into the ground. There is an assortment of small bits of body that you can kind of still see. Some of them are very rapidly either decayed or been munched on by some kind of creature with large fangs. The carriage itself, large chunks of it has been split into 2. There is one part that's right in front of the guy that's currently been pushed against the tree with the wheel on his lap, that has that front part of the carriage a couple of feet away from him, and the back part of the carriage has been just tossed to the 4 winds for the most part. Anything that was inside of it is just all over the place. But the back part is about 20 feet away, directly ahead of you all. Looking around, looking in the front and back parts, you try to glean anything from any of this. The most you all get while looking is that the entire carriage was surprised and the thing was torn in half from beneath. Beyond that, there is nothing that's left. Even with the boxes that are like half submerged into the ground or sunken in slightly, you take a quick peek through little cracks or any kind of openings that you can find, or even make one if you need to, but it seems everything has been taken. Anything that's left is like little spatterings of grains of rice. The place has been very well tossed and broken apart. Though
Go on.
on the body, pretty much one of the only ones that are vaguely intact, that's against the tree, you kind of see this little twitch of the neck almost for a second. What do you guys want to do?
Could I look around for tracks, maybe? If something attacked them, then surely it left something.
You can certainly give it an attempt. You can do an investigation or survival.
Aye. I choose the one I don't have -2 on.
Good choice. Um, so as you're looking around, this place, there's a weird like spongy effect to the ground, though it's still pretty solid. And as you're walking, you try to make any kind of indents in the ground, and it does kind of like soak up your footprint, and it lasts for about a second or so. And then you look around toward the back end of the carriage. You kind of like have to like give it a little bit of a push, as a part of it's been slightly submerged into the ground, but it seemingly moves easy. And you shift it just a little bit. As you look behind it, there is what looks to be not a footprint or anything, but there is what looks to be the mark of a long claw scrape along the backside of the carriage, followed by what looks to be one barely recognizable print moving directly north, or directly in the direct line of where they would come in from. And when I guess you guys could go toward. But as you look ahead toward where this one print points toward, the only thing you can see in the distance is a strange, large tower of some kind. It has this slight blue tiling along the sides of it, and it peeks out very lightly from what looks to be a drop.
This tower, does it look any way like those primordial towers?
Make a perception check. Oh, it is.
Yay, it's not a 2.
It's raining and pouring actual shit today. Unless you get a little bit closer, you can't tell exactly at the moment. The coloration would suggest maybe. It doesn't have the usual framework of one, though. It seems to look like an actual tower. There is a couple of small windows that would lead to seeing inside. But other than that, it doesn't have the open spaces and the stairways that go up, or anything floating above. So again, unless you get a better look, you can't tell exactly from this distance.
Roughly,
Creature
what
made
the-
this imprint. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt anyone.
roughly how far did you say the tower was?
Looking ahead, it'd be about a good mile away.
Is it still in line of our destination to the Sahagan camp?
You don't actually know for certain. You guys know that the Sahagan are roughly in around this area, but it could line up.
Probably mention to the others. Maybe that tower's worth a look.
Don't come back. Well, Netissa think whatever did this went that way. So maybe it's a bad idea. God, I love the music change.
Knew you were coming. So what is the consensus?
Do you want to go after this or no?
Yeah, just for the towers with looting.
Looting.
Okay.
Looting? What's a looting?
It's a string instrument,
Ooh.
string musical instrument. Like this, and I do minor illusion of it. Do I have?
This
Yeah, I have.
doesn't need. But this doesn't need one.
It's not. Oh, and I give up. So do we go after? So Where do you guys think we should go now?
Back. Carrot will chime in, sort of look at what's been found, and just say, well, we have been sent to quell the Sahagin, but can't. Well, it might actually hurt trying to explore this, but at the same time, it might be worth a little bit of, well, merit to if we do find something. But we don't really know how great the risk is, so let's say for the time being, make our way to where we reckon we can find the Sahagin. And if anything else connects to the tower, and ultimately we have to go there anyway, we may as well go. But for the time being, investigate around the area in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think we should do anyway. But if everyone's in agreement to go into the tower, we can be for it. We just need to, well, be cautious just in case. Well, big old ugly over there, well, he went that way, decides to, well, not be such a welcoming host.
So what does everyone fancy do?
Atlesia would like to go look for flowers.
I suppose we explore well, investigate the area looking for the Sahagin then.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. That's what we was going to do anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if anything, if we don't end up going there, it can just be something we can put down in the report when we head back and just say it's something we found, and they can probably maybe send out scouts to explore it who are, well, more suited for the area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they'll probably just send us back. But hey, let's say we just do what we need to do for the time being.
So is everybody is everybody wanting to scout the area first, or go to the Sahagin, to the tower first?
Exploring the rest of the area first.
Yeah, so yeah, probably explore the area. If there's nothing that can be found, then perhaps the tower.
Okay. Then, how much time would you guys like to put on it, given that you know this place has an interesting terrain? Would you like to explore the area that you're currently in a little bit more, or retain a degree of stable ground and search a little bit ahead before you go to possibly to the tower later? Because you have, or at least Carrick has anyway, seen some Sahagin from beneath when he nearly fell through. So you know they're here, air quotes, but specifically is a rough identity to figure out.
I know, I mean, but damn, you guys not really jumping at this.
Yeah, I was just waiting for someone to reply. I imagine if we
this is-
find something, it'll stick out.
Right, okay then. If anything, I'd probably say and suggest we probably do the latter then, because, as Lee said, we did confirm the appearance of different type of Sahagin around the area, but that was just because, well, the terrain is dodgy as anything, and yeah, So exploring on more stable land and hopefully maybe finding a den or entrance where they actually come up to surface. That's if this area isn't already that area. Then it might be more suitable we do that. What is everyone's thoughts on this? Any additional info? Any additional ideas?
Do you recall any details of the creature that tried to pull you underground?
Basically, a more dark, darker tone of skin type of Sahagin, sort of like a more abyssal blue rather than the greenish colour. Sort of like they've grown in sort of like a dark, below, shallow area of sea, if you will, or sort of like slash swampy area of watery terrain. Is it safe to call it terrain? Water is terrain.
It's a loose, yeah.
Yeah, it's a loose term of describing it. Habitat. Habitat. I'm just gonna say habitat. Because the sea is a giant sort of nature preserve for all sorts of things that swim underwater. Plus my brain's also not working, so I'm calling it a habit.
So any other questions? And as a small repeat, would you guys like to explore the more spongier and easier to fall into the depths of the ocean area behind you with the sinking sands, or move forward a little bit on sturdier ground and explore
The second option.
the Sapati-wide option? If you don't want to jump into the sea, that's totally up to you.
It's probably worth having a look at the water area first, seeing as it's like a potential go-to area for something Sahagin related.
Okay.
I'm not saying we go into the ocean. I'm just saying it's worth looking around for any signs.
Given that you and the others, Connor, sort of joined in that, had floated a couple of inches above it for about a good 10 minutes or so, trying to figure out what was going on, you know it must be a deep body of water for the creature that tried to leap out and devour each of you to live in it. Either that, or the entire area that it encompasses is a lot greater than just that one visible lake. So the chances are that it probably is connected to the Sahagin's home turf. But given at the moment, I'm pretty sure anyway that none of you guys have any feasible way of exploring down there safely. It's entirely up to you if you would want to explore that opportunity, or if you want to find a different path to get to the same place.
Is it possible for me to dive under the water and just look around, swim out a bit, see if I can find anything like potential tunnels or anything that might be.
As a general in-character reminder more than anything, the lake itself was basically pitch black. You can tell what the colour of the water is, but anything beyond that, it is darkness, unless something is coming very close very quickly and shoving aside the weird whatever kind of concoction is in the water itself, the kind of weird coloured stew. You can't see a thing. You can attempt, but the perception would be high in requirement. Not to mention, again, if it is as wide out as it is, you would have to swim for quite a while before you hit a wall beneath. Or around, sorry. Especially since, as you guys were climbing over the lake via rope, Connor was along your left. over what was presumably stable ground, but even that gave way to a further expansion to the lake that was hidden beneath. But again, if you do want to attempt to, it's a process of how long you can stay down there without disturbing something that might want to get you, how long you can
If
breathe.
I can't, if the water's completely black and I can't see anything, it's not worth it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then would you all like to explore the more the more sturdy ground before you head forward? You guys
Yeah,
are.
probably a good idea.
You guys
That's a yes for my vote.
You're all having a very good day today, I tell. Okay. Those of you who are curious, how much of a effort do you want to put in observing the area around you? Because you can spread out a little bit. The ground is sturdy enough that you're not going to sink in easy, even if you do. But it depends on how much ground you can cover on your journey, or how extensive your search is.
Just out of curiosity, the more sturdier land, how much of it is there?
It looks like it leads up to just before what you guys can see of the tower rising out of the what looks to be another pit of some kind. So a good miles worth ahead of you. From left to right, it's probably a good with a rough guess 5 miles worth that you can see. There are a couple of sloping hills and little bits of cliff drops that throw you a little bit, but it looks roughly all about the same, and it all has this kind of spotted texture almost.
Okay. With that sort of thing, I'd like to say at least a good bit of effort checking this area out, especially if after that the only other clue that we have at the moment without exploring the sturdy lands is just going to the tower that we see, because we might find more hidden avenues along the way when it comes to exploring this area. So my vote is that.
Yeah, sounds good.
A solid 200-meter radius.
Everybody make a investigation check. This will be a group effort.
Okay.
I think someone's just really tired today.
I want to look for butterflies.
Oh my god!
Guys, I'm not going to be mad if you roll more than a 10. Genuinely. So,
That would be great, yeah.
as you're all walking,
No, it's great. I'm going to use inspiration.
okay.
And I roll higher than a 10.
No.
I mean, I know it's a group. I know it's a group thing. It won't matter. I'm just curious.
So there's
It's
a
more than
6.
4.
Let's go!
Remember, you roll with advantage, so you roll again.
Oh.
You forego your last roll again entirely.
Oh, okay. Come on, come on, come on.
There you go.
It's more than 10.
Yay! More than a 10. So, as you guys start moving forward, immediately you climb up this very small, like diagonal climb along this weird spongy texture as you push yourself up and over it. You feel your hands kind of like submerging into it, like foam or like memory foam mattress almost. And then you pick yourself up over the edge. You start to continue forward. And as you guys are moving forward, let's because it's a -1 especially. Stefan, can you make a dexterity saving throw? Funny to say that to a monk, but you know, given today's theming.
Of course I can.
Nice. So, as you guys are climbing along, and then you start moving forward, there's this weird, as you're walking along, you feel the ground sort of shifts a little, and most of you kind of just look down for a second, you look around, and then you notice one of you are missing, and you look towards where a certain spiky party member used to be, has now fallen through a very, very vulnerable point in the ground, and is currently 10 feet below your feet. As you guys walk over and look down, you see 10 feet down, bobbing on top of the water, a certain spiky-haired friend.
Is this it? Are you okay?
Yes.
Can we
Are
get
you
out?
sure? You don't sound sure.
What do I see around me?
As you look around, it's kind of like there's this small alcove beneath where they're currently standing. You can see that there is the part where you fell down, of course, just this like flat circle almost. It's weird. You look over towards where they currently are stood above, and it looks weirdly reinforced. Like it's solidified by a sort of stone and rock. And then you look a little bit towards the right of them, and you see what looks to be a dark tunnel way of some kind that leads downward. And there's what looks to be a little river that's moving down that direction. Yeah. There's a small river as you're like bobbing along the water that's moving down toward that little tunnel way.
Natissa does not think she can climb this, but she sees a tunnel. Can I see anything?
It looks like the roof is very much like about 4 feet above where the water starts to slide downward, and then it just goes down diagonally, so you can't see anything immediately. And it looks like if you did want to go down that direction, you would have to hold your breath and submerge.
Natissa wants to investigate.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna throw a rope in, and I'm gonna say, Nadissa, tie this around you. If you need us to pull you, just pull twice.
Pull twice. Okay.
Got it?
Okay. I will tie it around my waist.
How dark is it?
But
Is there enough light?
as of the moment, the water looks dark looking down, but there are assortments of these tiny little lights at the bottom of the water, which, from where you are at the moment, Nadissa, is only about 30 feet down, give or take. And as you're kind of like looking around, the water doesn't have the same kind of murkiness to it exactly, but there is a natural darkness the further down you go.
Oh, can you conjure any lights for him? Sol, hello?
Yeah, sorry. What?
Can you conjure any lights for him? Huh.
Put
Oh, I forgot Nadessa's female.
You have a torch?
It's a good
Um,
idea.
I
Use
have a
torch for
torch.
water.
I have a torch. I'm gonna light a torch with a firebolt or something,
Okay.
and give it to Nidissa,
Who's in the water?
who's in the water. She can swim with one hand. I mean,
In the water?
So she needs to dive.
no, I can't do anything like that. Sorry. I can create bonfire in the water. It's not gonna help, but yeah.
It's magic fire. It's waterproof.
What about minor illusion?
Minor illusion and illuminated space.
Yes.
Well, I don't know
Illusion,
how bad is it
waterproof
for me.
How much dark vision? If any?
I have the one that's called 60 feet, gray, white, and black.
Nice. You can, at the minute, see to the bottom. Which... not bad. So looking down, you can see all sorts of small little things moving beneath you, and as you do kind of like look around, there are what look to be small little fish that are actively avoiding you, giving you a wide berth, and moving around you. And some of them move
Fishies.
towards the little stream and seem to sink down very quickly.
Natissa found fishies.
Which fishies?
The fishy ones.
The fish that attacked us?
No, small fishies.
Okay.
All right. With
Eric sort of looks between Sol and Vardex and just says, "Are we really letting her explore by herself?"
It's tied to a
Sure.
rope.
She only
You
got
let
like
this
40
goes.
feet.
with a rope around my waist, I will dive.
Okay. As you dive down, and do you head towards the stream that goes downward?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you swim over and you dive downwards, as you begin swimming down as fast as you can, firstly, what's your constitution?
My constitution is 17.
Nice. So you got a couple minutes at least. As you start swimming down, the first couple of seconds, you're swimming down a very narrow, like, tunnel way. You fit through very easily for the most part, but there is like barely a 2-foot gap on above and below you. And as you're moving along, looking around, holding your breath, you see a couple of fish that do like swim by you and swim past you very rapidly. And as you're swimming along, it's getting up to the point where the rope would meet its end, and you see that the tunnel that's leading downwards suddenly has this arc upward, and as you swim upwards, you feel as the rope kind of pulls on your stomach a little bit as you reach the edge of it. But as you look up, you can see what looks to be a single mote of light just above you at the water's surface.
How far above me do you think?
It's roughly about 20 feet or so.
I will untie the rope. I will swim up.
Okay. As you untie it and swiftly swim up, as you gently eke your head up and over the edge and look around, you find a very strange small cave. There are these clusters of small damp spots where water has slowly dried away, and you can see what looks to be these cracked open shells of some kind, mostly clusters of very tiny ones, but there are also a couple of bigger ones, and they're all embedded into the corners, the most deep, darkest parts of each of the corners of this small cave of about a good like 20-foot radius with like jagged edges. The roof itself, as you kind of like look up, is maybe more on the 25 height. And as you kind of like looking around, you see the light that's being emitted is from this one tall standing plant with 5 petals, and the bud in the middle is currently illuminating a gentle green light. It looks like it was some kind of den or habitat in the past. Make a perception check.
I do as you command.
Yes, my child. What is with these rolls today? Why is it going to shit? It's been so long, the game's just like, nah, they don't get nothing. And as you're looking around, I would say specific to you, the flower would distract you. But
Really?
yeah.
What kind of flower? Now you have to describe it.
Okay, well, it seems to grow specifically out of damp, dark places like this. More specifically, when there's no life here. It has a glowing stem. It has assortments of what look to be like vines also growing out from the cracks in the ground with it, that kind of are slowly but surely lurking further toward the ground rather than the edge of the little part of rock that it's currently growing out of. The petals themselves seem to be, looking at them, it would suggest they're very like, they look very wet and soft, but there's something about the flower itself that kind of rubs you weird. It gives you this eerie vibe, almost as if it's watching you. And you see the bulb, the glow that it's emitting, the green light, it starts to flicker as if it's trying to communicate.
Talking flower? I'll get close to it.
As you get close
I
to
can
it,
lie down on my stomach.
as you get close to it and look at it, it suddenly flashes. Make a Constitution save. The DC will not be high.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go. It was actually a 10. As it flashes, it kind of gives you that effect where you stare at the sun for more than 3 seconds at its peak, and you get that kind of like black spot in your eye for a second. You're just like, oh. And then it
nasty flower.
and then it returns to just emitting a gentle singular light constantly.
This is angry at the flower. Yoink it.
As you pull it out, you feel a resistance for a second, and then it seems to very quickly rip. And you see as the vines come pulling with it. As you pull it out from its core, you see at the bottom of it, there is this very tiny, what looks to be like creature. It's got these very tiny little baby arms and very little itty bitty nub fingers. It's fully pink with only little green eyeballs that try to look at you, but its back is currently facing you as it was in a fetal position inside the rock. And you just hear this slight, very barely audible screeching sound.
How big is it? And how does it smell?
It's like, I'd say it's like, it's like the size of a like small ball. You know, like those bouncing balls that you used to get as a kid?
Yeah.
It's kind of like about that size. You can kind of make out the details of it.
Yeah.
What was the other question? Sorry.
How does it smell?
It smells earthy, but also like wet dog.
Also like wet dog.
Yeah.
Alright, well, fuck it. You know that this is hungry. Nom.
Good, because I was going to say, after a couple of seconds of it screeching, you see it stop moving, the noise stops, and it dies. And as you kind of just like,
Yep.
just like crunching it, it's very soft and tender. It's kind of like fresh meat
Excellent.
as it bursts in the
Eggs.
mouth. It's just this weird foul-tasting liquid that fills your mouth.
Follow quickly. Nasty flower.
What do you want to do next, or are you just leaving the?
Oh, that this is back to her senses. Oh yeah, shit. She
All right,
came here for
flowers
a
and
reason.
things, right?
Is there any method that I can see where I might be able to reach the moat above, like like the hole above, where the light is coming through?
Oh no, you just climbed through it.
Oh really?
Yeah, yeah. The water's the light was coming from the flower.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh, sorry. I thought there was like a hole in the ground. Oh,
No,
like,
no,
above
no.
in the ceiling. Sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, that's all
Do I see anything else of interest?
right. With that
Or does it
recent
just
check,
seem empty?
no.
No.
You kind of like
Well,
take a
I
look around and you can't really see anything. It all looks just very plain and cavey, with a lot of these little cracked open eggs everywhere.
can I take one of the eggs of their hole, like just the cracked up, like shell, like just the
Yeah.
biggest I can find?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So you kind of just
Well-
like scoop one up. There's one that's in a perfect slice down the middle, two halves, and kind of pick it up and just stuff it away.
Nice. And I'll just go down the hole again, swim back.
So you guys, while Medusa has disappeared, as you're kind of like looking down, just kind of looking around, waiting. Can I have perception checks?
From everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this will go successfully well.
Just trying to get all your bad luck out now.
At least it's about. Oh wait, sorry, Mozzie.
These guys are kind of like looking around and whatnot, looking out. No real changes. The ground still feels like weirdly like squishy, and every now and again you kind of like feel it move, and it concerns you a slight bit that it's gonna fall under. But it feels like it's this weird natural effect. It's almost like someone has put a sponge on top of water and then it's just settled. It seems to be constantly shifting slightly, but you don't think you're in any real danger of it, like, submerging. But is there anything you guys want to do while you wait for Nidissa?
Garrick just looks at the rope and just like, this is almost a bit like fishing, almost.
Mm-hmm. One crack open, a cold one.
We don't really have any cold ones, do
We don't, but with the magic of minor illusion, we can imagine we have.
If you can't get drunk off it, it's not worth it.
we? Garrick looks to Varnex and then looks back to Soul.
Halfir,
Plus, he's
who,
underage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at Helter and I'm like, you got something for that?
Halfir, who has had no interactions this entire time and has just been a background character until I figure out what I want to do with him, is gonna...
Is Halfir actually here?
Yeah, of course he is. He's been following.
He has
Oh,
Brick is also with you, you know.
He actually helped
yeah.
the lake.
It's hard to tell since we don't have a map up
Hmm.
with everyone here.
He, as you guys are kind of just like talking about a cold one, he just flicks his fingers and ice starts to gather around his fingertips, and he just kind of like leans forward a little bit. Well, I have tea, but I don't think that's what you mean.
No, I was thinking more about mushrooms.
Ah, I can certainly help you out with that one.
Hmm.
But
There you
this,
go, Vanek. You want something to get high on? That's a plug.
but this isn't really the place nor time.
Okay, Professor Oak.
Really wanted to make a reference there, but I'm resisting.
Do it. Do it.
Too late. The time has passed. Also, I have to play other music. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to say or do?
Probably like
What's Brick doing?
He is just looking at you guys with that same usual bit of mixture of concern and curiosity, and
Confusion.
yeah, a lot of confusion.
Fair enough.
So, you guys hear splashing from beneath as a certain spiked friend reappears. Nerissa.
Okay.
Natissa's back. Can Natissa climb up rope?
You guys notice she's only just tying the rope back to herself.
Okay.
This, why did you untie the rope?
The rope held Natissa back.
What if you didn't come back?
Then we would not be talking.
Okay, you
That's a
go.
fair point. That's a fair point.
That's probably the most common sense I've heard from her so far. Okay. Garrick
given
will
her
just
personality, I'm surprised.
Garrick will just start pulling her up then.
Natissa found this, and I'll hold out the eggshell.
Yes. So, for those of you who want to do a check, you can do a nature or history check if you're proficient in history.
What if we're proficient in neither?
Well, just do a nature check. Only history if you're proficient. I'm just waiting to see all of the
Right,
tens
since
and
no one else is.
elevens. Nice.
I know eggs.
You know eggs. I feel like we've had a conversation about dragon heritage before and eggs, but just yeah.
This type of shell is great in omelets.
So looking over the egg, it is because of the one that specifically Nadissa has chosen. It slightly throws you for a second, and for a moment you think it's the egg of a slightly larger aquatic creature, or at least one that will grow into a larger creature. But then, as you're kind of like looking over the almost like dusty pattern that it has over it, as well as the fact the egg shells are like slightly damp constantly. These are Sahagin eggs. It's seemingly from one that was possibly going to grow into quite a tall boy, quite a strong boy. And with the general information that I assume Nadissa would share, that there was a lot of these, this was just one of not very many, but this was one of a few of the larger eggs. There was otherwise a ton of small eggs, because they are akin to like tadpoles when they're young. In the case of the big ones like these that mature during the incubation period, they can basically be young Sahagin very rapidly and can grow into something very ferocious to deal with. But yeah, they're Sahagin eggs.
I let the others know. It appears we are in the right area. The eggshells that Natissa found are from Sahagwins. Were there any other cave entrances, or was there a deeper level that you could see?
Natissa didn't find anything else, except for a nasty flower.
Isn't this?
But-
I couldn't find any of. Couldn't find anything else.
Hmm.
I'm assuming this is potentially some kind of Sahagwin nursery or something.
Possibly, yeah. At the very least, it's somewhere that they nested long enough to have their children. I'll tack on to the nature check. They typically will choose somewhere that is wet enough that they can explore, fish, that they can live, that is also secluded. In the event that their home is no longer fitting or they find a better one, they will only leave behind anything they don't need, which in the obvious case is their shells. So yeah.
But chances are they won't be far. They won't be far from the eggs. How far again is that tower from us?
It's about a mile.
It's technically not far, and it is well hidden. Just by looking around the area, just by eyesight, there's nothing else that really stands out, is there?
No, there's not really many trees, if any, and a lot of what you assume to have grown here has either been submerged or doesn't have enough sunlight or ingredients to nurture itself on. The fact Nadisarium found a single flower was solely because it grew in the harsh environment it did. But a lot of this place is this weird, like, spongy earth that has this slight yellowing texture, colour. But beyond that, the tower up ahead, the water, the lake behind you, those are the only two things you can see at the moment. Maybe with a good enough climb up a high tower, jokes aside, you might see a bit more. But as of the moment, this place is very like one note, and there are a couple of cliffs and finding the words, high tops that block a lot of vision for anything else.
Alright. Alright, I talked to the others. What Nadissa has found is clearly a Sahagwin nest or nursery where they laid the eggs. So, looking round, the tower is potentially our best bet. We can climb high to get a good view of the area, and chances are the tower could also have a lower, potentially submerged area. It's potentially worth investigating. If there's the slightest hint of trouble, we can always fall back and lay our funds to our main camp.
So what do you guys want to do?
It seems going to the tower is the only course of action then, really. If that's the case.
Yeah, we can, I have some calligraphy tools so I can like mark the area and see if we can just so we'll have easier time once we get back here later.
It's a good idea. I'm pretty sure. Shit, I forgot the people at camp. What's his face? He'll appreciate a detailed map of the area.
Hmm.
But instead of what's his face, Varnix would actually say the guy's name.
Reginald!
Thank you.
Reginald.
Good old Reggie.
Reggie Ice.
Reggie Gigas?
Reginald would also appreciate a detailed map of the area. So, isn't this a backup on the surface with us?
Yeah, it'd just take 2 seconds for Carrick to pull up the rope.
1, 2. Alright, this is back.
So, As you're pulled back up to the surface, and you all look ahead toward the tower, which, as a general note, from what you remember seeing of the two towers you've seen so far, the earth and water, they're usually very high up. They're very tall standing, they're very grandiose. The one you see ahead of you, you figure to still be pretty grandiose, though in terms of like an equal footing level, from where you can see it at the distance, it's submerged, but it still stands a good 15, maybe 20 feet higher than you. But it must be submerged. You can barely see any of it.
The fact that it's submerged does potentially show that it could be related to Sahagwans.
Are you all heading toward
There's a tower.
the tower? Okay. If anyone wants to do any checks, let me know. As you begin walking. And as you begin walking towards this new tower, mark. Boop. As you begin moving toward it, keeping steady as you walk along this loosely difficult ground, you eventually come toward the destination. As you're looking around, you see assortments of what look to be like some shells, not too dissimilar from what you guys have on your person at the moment, of the Sahagins shell, that are scattered about just casually along the ground as you're moving along. Similar to how Nidis saw them, they're all clustered, put in what would normally be the direct corners in the darkest spots, areas that are covered over or that are beneath where the light can touch. At one point you have to climb down the side of one of these drops. It doesn't take you more than a couple of seconds. If anything, you can literally just jump down yourselves. They're barely 5 foot apart in most cases. And eventually you make your way ahead towards the tower, which now is within 100 feet of you each. But standing in your way, that wasn't visible before, there is this long line of about a 20-foot gap from as far as your eyes can currently see to your left to as far as they could see toward the right. Just a long drop towards what looks to be a dark, murky black waters beneath. A drop of at least 90 feet. And there's a 20-foot jump between where you currently are and the next available foothold. And 100 feet, or more specifically if you were at that side, 80 feet from there, you can see a large drop over an edge, and the tower is sat in the middle. By this point you can smell what smells like a deep fish smell. It's very, very strong, and it wafts over slightly as the wind pulls it along. But with this cavern or canyon in front of you, what do you guys want to do to get ahead? You have to find a way to get across by 20 feet.
We can't see any signs of life, can we? Like,
Besides,
Sahagwans scouts, anything of movement.
no. Besides the shells behind you, each of which already cracked, there doesn't seem to be anything else. Though the unnatural formation of this canyon might suggest that something's near.
Sol, what spells do you have on you?
Well, what?
What spells do you have on you? Like blasting spells or wind spells?
I have Firebolt
No, that won't work.
and Chromatic Orb, like something to blow wind or something.
Oh,
Let's see. Cast a spell
Or-
and make.
okay, I know Chromatic Orb can allow it allows you to choose what type of energy,
Yes.
and one it's force, right?
Yes. There is force, yes.
Alright, crazy idea. I can try and jump as far as I
Oh,
can.
wait, no. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder.
Thunder's basically force, isn't it?
No,
It's not electric.
thunder is equivalent to sound, basically.
Alright, so that won't work. My plan was one of us could try and jump,
And
and if
blast
someone
them
fires like, yeah, pretty much like force, I meant to push them, not an actual burning or electric or charring inducing energy.
What about lightning?
Nope.
Mm.
The
Yeah,
results
definitely.
will be shocking.
No.
Oh, I know, so funny.
I mean, I can Misty Step.
That'll get you over.
Misty Step slows you down as you fall, not distance, right?
Hold on. It still teleports you though, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Misty Step. Sorry, I was thinking of Featherfall.
Oh yeah, no.
Sorry, I got confused. Yeah, Misty Step can totally do it.
Okay, so want me to go up there? Just to see?
If you want, I can scout the area out as a bird.
Oh, yeah, that would be actually better, I think.
It'll save all of the noise if there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as he says that, and I assume there's a consensus, he's going to pull the edge of his cloak and make a swift motion with it, covering himself. And within a second, everything kind of morphs into one as he turns into a hawk and flaps his wings and flies very swiftly off into the distance. You notice there's a weird sickly coloration to any parts of the flesh as he flies off, and you see circles a wide distance around the tower, observing around it for a moment. And then he seems to do another round, and it's just taking a proper look. And I want to do a perception check. Bippity.
Oop.
Hey. Okay. So after observing, he comes flying back, and he's going to shift out of his form, drop just in front of you each. I don't see anyone out front, but it seems like the tower is definitely submerged. And I would say at least 70, maybe 80 more feet beneath the water's surface. There doesn't appear to be any structural damage, is what I don't understand. So maybe this is another elemental tower, perhaps.
Another water tower.
Possibly.
Wasn't there one already at base camp?
There is.
I will.
I wouldn't rule out there not being another, though. The only thing we know for certain is that there is one of each 4 major elements. He turns and looks at you, and it says you're clearly just like, me. Yes.
What is elemental tower?
Althea kind of just looks to you each and hopes one of you will talk about it.
We just
Explain
point
it
to it and
to
go,
you at the
It-
camp.
B1.
This I forgot.
Remember at the camp there was a thingy with a shiny thingy?
Uh,
Okay, it's a magic tower.
Magic Tower.
Yes.
Is the looting magic?
No.
Okay. This doesn't understand.
If this is one you'll understand soon enough.
Eric just
No.
looks at Nadissa in the most simplest of ways and just says, "Magical tower."
Magical Tower. Okay.
And
I probably
then Garrett just very low-key finger guns at Sol.
Healthier soul. Do any of your orbs are they reacting to this?
I don't know. And I pull up my orb.
As you're doing that, Halfir is also like pulling his orb out, and you two notice as you pull them out, yours are both currently glowing a strange cerulean.
Yes. It's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can try to open it like we did at the cave.
He nods, looks down at
Varnix
it.
just lets out a sigh. Goes, here we go again.
You see as Halfir is currently trying to move the pieces and see if he can make something happen with it.
Is that did you say the cannon was surrounding the circumference of the tower?
No, the canyon is ahead of the. I will restart. The canyon is directly in front of you guys at the minute. It's what's barring your course to get onto the other side. The tower is surrounded by a large pseudo-circle basin of water.
Is there anything that could look something like signposts of like a bridge or some kind of entrance? If we hold out the orbs, would something present itself to allow us entry?
I guess that's a good question to ask the ones with the orbs.
So, healthier. And I ask him that.
Yes.
Can you repeat that? The internet kind of on me.
If memory serves, last time you were in some kind of trance which opened the gate to the Earth Tower. Is your orb giving you any indication as
Well,
to how we gain entry?
I wasn't really in a trance, but yeah, I can try. That's what I was just thinking, like to open it like last time. Yeah, and I tried to present the orb or something.
Okay. As you hold it up, you see Halfir kind of joins you and holds it up as well. You see as both orbs kind of float out of your hands for a second, and they start to unpuzzle themselves. And you notice as they're unpuzzling themselves that pieces slide out and float, and you see that the two puzzles completely separate for a second, and their pieces float in the air. And then you see as they intertwine, they almost like dance in the air around each other. Hellraiser puzzle orbs. As they're like floating around each other for a second. As they're hovering, they start to separate further and further and further until they make this distant, larger orb-like shape, with the only connection being these small tethers that link each single piece between each other, and forming a larger looking orb with an illusion holding the framework. And then you see ahead of you on the other side, the ground starts to shake, and a large portion of the weird, like spongy, like earth starts to fall off, and then a large chunk separates, slides down until it eventually falls plummeting to the bottom, and you just hear this great crash, and you see the water splash upward about 30 feet. Still nowhere close enough to get to you guys, but you can see it splash outward. And then as you look back up, you see what looks to be this large slab of a dark black metal that starts to move forward very slowly, but then stops. And it moved forward maybe about 5 feet. And then you see your puzzle pieces all slowly reform into the orbs, drop down into each of your hands, still shining. And then you see the symbols that are currently illuminated on each of them appear on that large black metal slab as it slowly moves across the expanse. You see it gets about 15 feet before it fully stops. And then this illuminated platform remains illuminated and remains motionless. It seems, possibly through the course of time, the land has been eroded away to the point that, yeah, all you're going to get is 15 feet. Which, of course, you only need to jump 5 feet, so...
Alright, that made things easier. I guess we proceed.
So as each of you, one by one, do, you know, a very hearty jump, trying not to look down into the bottomless pit of water death below. You each jump on. The platform itself is like a good 20 feet long, but goes forward toward you 15 feet. And as you jump onto it... Yeah! As you jump onto it, after the two wielders of the orbs are on it, it starts to retract itself back toward the land. So those of you that weren't already on it start to run and jump onto the platform very swiftly. And as it retracts back into the land, eventually you find yourselves that much closer to the tower. And now that you are here, and that the orbs have started something, you feel this minor quaking from the ground around where that platform has just returned to. And you see these faint blue lights eking very light out of the ground around you, all the way around this perfect circle around the basin of water and the tower. And then you see the top of the tower itself start to illuminate. These very similar to what's on your orbs. These icons, these runes, whatever they are, illuminate at the top of the tower. And then this portal of some kind, this deep blue portal opens up at the top. And from out of it, you see, similar to the water tower at home, a large blue sphere floats out of it and then starts exuding tons of water down the sides of the tower. And as the water starts to drape down the sides of the tower itself starts to change shape and form. You see as a ton of the tiles along the sides of the tower start to shift and turn, until you can perfectly see the stairway leading down toward the bottomless abyss below. As you guys move toward the edge of the basin and look down, you see that it has fully opened the stairway toward the bottom. And the water that drips down the sides of the tower, though it looks like crystal clear water, there's something odd about it to those of you magically inclined. Can I have a Arcana check, Sol, and I will do one for Halfir because it's appropriate for him
Oh, come on.
to. Double nines. You're not sure what it is exactly, but there is some magic involved with the water, as it drapes perfectly down the sides of the tower. But you guys have about 15 feet, no matter what direction you go, along this circle that is currently being lightly illuminated by the runes that are covered by the ground, between you and the centre of the basin where the tower stands. What do you guys want to do?
Let's go in.
Clearly that's going to happen.
As note again, beneath you, about 15 feet beneath you, the bottom of the tower, the surface of the water begins and goes down for at least minimum of 60 feet from what Nodissa's eyes can tell you. And you can make out the tower down to that extent, but it seems like it goes on further, and the entirety of the tower has now opened up, and you can see the stairway perfectly, and you can see the bare bones framework that now keeps the tower intact with the large pillars. What do you guys want to do? You'll have to ascend or descend the tower, or you can take a dip.
I imagine it'll be very similar to Enter, same as the last one, where we have to climb, where we have to ascend to the top.
Which at the minute, considering you can't see the bottom, you're gonna have to get creative.
So we're currently on a platform, is that right? That's just hovering.
No, you guys are currently on just the flat, spongy earth that's 15 feet from the center of this water basin that the tower is currently in. You guys have to jump over, fly over, swim over, whichever way you decide. Or you can just go straight down and see what's beneath.
Okay, Lee.
Hmm.
Monks.
Yes.
We could jump 15 feet, right?
I mean,
Maybe.
yeah.
Alright. Take several feet steps back. Run and jump. But I like to spend a key point and do Step of the Wind to really increase my chances.
Okay.
Yeet!
Then, as you lead back as far as you can and you get a running start, using your key point, your feet start pounding the earth, and you wait until the very last moment where your foot is hovering over the edge to push yourself, springing forward. As you go flying forward, you will just perfectly meet the head of the tower. As you fly over, your foot touches the tower. You quickly use it as a spring, push yourself onto the roof of the tower, rolling across. You get sprayed by the water as you're flying through. It's unavoidable, but you land safely on top of the tower. And as you look up, it is a similar sight to every tower you've seen so far. You have the strange floating orb of some kind above you. You have the staircase just beneath you, and there is a weird dip in this platform. But you have made it, and as you look over the edge down towards the slightly murky abyss, yeah, you see yet again the water perfectly aligns alongside the tower. What do you guys want to do?
Well,
Might as well follow him. I will, yeah, I'll take some steps back, make a running leap.
Okay. Make a dexterity check.
You get just that.
Hey, nice. So, following suit, you look at it, you're like, yeah, I can do that too. Similar attitude, you rush toward the edge. Your foot grabs onto the edge just as you're about to step over. You springboard off. As you go spinning forward, you grab onto the tower's edge and flip yourself up and land pseudo pirouetting into the middle. And you are stood beside Varnix. As
I'm gonna
Go.
just misty step across.
before you do that,
Mm.
Alfir kind of like grabs your shoulder lightly, and he holds the orb up and says, "Why don't we just try use the platform on this side?"
Why don't we what? Use the platform on this side? On another side?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a closer platform. Yeah, sure.
You've got the same platform that you are currently stood above.
Okay, so why do you want to try another platform?
No, I'm talking about the exact one you're standing on.
What? No, I'm confused. Hold on.
you're very tired today.
I'm also kind of.
The extending black platform that you got
Just so you
to
know.
the side with, it can go both ways, is what I'm subtly saying. So it can extend to the other side of the canyon, but it can also extend toward the tower.
Uh,
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
No,
a
no,
lot
that's
happened to
alright.
me. Prime Minister speech, dictatorship, all of that shit. But
Yum.
yeah. Fun. Anyway, I'll just go with him. I guess.
Okay. He holds up his orb. As you hold up yours as well, you feel as if it's almost understanding your intent, and you feel the platform beneath you start to shift, and it's almost like it hits a slot or a lock, and then you feel the ground beneath you start to shake a little bit more, and then you see the platform extend outward from beneath you toward the tower, and as it starts extending outward, Alfred just kind of gives you a small nod, steps on the platform and starts moving toward the tower. And as he gets toward the edge of the tower, looks towards the two monks. I thought I'd let you have some fun before I decided to do it the right way.
Varnix just gives him the blankest of stares.
He seems to smile a little bit. And then as everybody follows, makes their way over toward the tower. As you each lands on the roof of the tower, the platform returns back to its neutral state. And now you guys are at the top of the tower. Do you start to descend toward the bottom? With a reminder that 15 feet down below, the surface of the water begins. What do you guys want to do?
Is that the only entrance?
Probably not, but either way you guys would have to swim down if you want to find anything out about the Sahagin.
I guess that is the solid choice. Pardon me. Hiccup.
Thou art pardoned.
Do you guys descend?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that a universal? Yes. Okay.
I would like to. It sounds fun.
Yar har harg.
Yar fiddly dee.
Do what you want because I'll pay it is free.
No, it's not. It's very expensive. So, as you all begin to descend downward, very swiftly, you see the surface of the water at the next set of steps. And as you guys are at the edge, as you're walking down, you feel slightly suffocated for a second. As you notice, you're probably going to have to hold your breath for a while. But can everyone make me a perception check real quick?
Always. Anytime.
Yay.
Why did it just...
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, how fair.
I don't know why that showed that. Hold on.
Hey.
It
Hello,
showed it again and it
Alfie.
still shows it wrong. That's really weird.
Hello, Alfie.
Hi guys.
Big noise.
Very nice everybody, very nice. As you guys are descending, you're noticing a weird lack of oxygen. And as you guys are just now at the edge of the surface of the water before you begin descending, you notice as you guys look around that as you look out towards the bottom half of the basin that you're currently in, there is no wind flow in general. And out of any kind of instinct, Helfir moves his hands toward the water that's flowing alongside you and presses against it. And as he presses against it, you all notice that his fingers are stuck against something. He hits something. And then he moves his hand back. And then looks down toward the water, and he, assuming anyone else is in front of him, he very, slowly moves past you each and places his hand down toward the water, and you see as his fingers pass through the water as if it's not there. And as he pulls his hand away, attempting to grasp or move the water away, nothing flows with him. His hand just moves through it. And then he turns back and looks at each of you with a slight bit of confusion.
I would like to test out this illusionary looking water too.
This is curious too.
As each of you start to put your hands in toward the water, you feel nothing. You even wave your hand through it a couple of times. And you're going to attempt to splash someone with it. But your hand is just touching air, or pseudo lack thereof. And then Helfir, taking the assumption, starts to move down to the point where he would be submerged. You guys can still just about see him, and then he pokes his head out from above it, and then he returns to it, and then you just hear the footsteps go down, and they start to echo slightly as he walks further down.
Follow onwards.
And as you guys descend further and further down, it gets to around about the 60-foot mark where you notice there's another about 50 feet before the bottom of the tower. And as you're looking around, you see alongside the walls that as the tunnelway seems to like start closing in slightly. And it at the bottom it looks to be just one single entryway to somewhere beneath the basin. You see along the walls are assorted gently green glowing shells that look very similar to what you have in your person. Not so much in the fact it's shiny, of course, but you also notice at the bottom of the steps, as you finally get down there, ahead of you, leading along this tunnelway, there appears to be a lot of gentle green light coming from ahead of you, but also, as you get to the entryway to this tunnel, you can each see what looks to be the bodies of not soldiers exactly. They look a bit less unified in their outfit than that. Some are wearing slightly like hide armor, others have axes where some have swords. A lot of them have these like bloody marks to tally kills along their neck or face. They look very rough for the most part. They would be mistaken easily for bandits. And the bodies are fresh. You can also see what look to be shattered eggshells and the bodies of some lesser Sahagin strewn about this 30-foot radius around you. What do you guys want to do?
Proceed, but very uneasily.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Lee, are we still descending the tower?
No, you would have descended.
Ascended?
No, you've descended. Descended.
Yeah, that's what I said, descended. Sorry.
Yeah.
While descending the tower, have we gone through the portal, or are we still in the tower?
No, you just walked straight down the tower. The portal never appeared.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Okay. But yeah, you have a tunnelway ahead of you. You have assorted bodies of what you could easily establish as mercenaries strewn about around you, as well as the bodies of Sahagin. What do you want to do?
Proceed with caution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is very unsure.
Well, since we activated the tower, perhaps it's not a good idea to go back.
So, as you begin to journey on, walking through this small tunnelway, there is that stink of fish that's very potent, but as well there is a slight iron scent of blood in the air, fresh at that. And as you continue forward, I will move you to a map.
To a
First
map?
map of the day, baby. Let me just
Map of the day.
map of the day.
Map of the day.
Let me just make sure everybody is on. Beep-a-dee-beep-a-dee-beep-a-dee. And bippity boppity, where the fuck? Boo.
Where are my properties?
Bippity boppity, where's my property? Haha, darkness.
Dun, 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 dun,
Ah.
dun.
I am blind again. I'm not blind, but you know what I mean.
And it was blinding.
I'm still at the camp.
So,
Hey.
you might want to refresh.
Hey,
I'll try to refresh.
Interesting looking sight.
Connor, make a perception check.
A perception check.
Perception. Nice.
Wow.
You come with me, you little saucy minx.
Where are we?
Well, this is
Ah.
where we're going.
I love the timing on that. It's like, oh, where are we going?
Where are we going? Bill.
Dun.
So as you guys get to the end of the entranceway, ahead of you, you see the image of a figure that has this assortment of scrap pieces of hide, of armor, steel, a single battle axe on his shoulder that has seen better days, probably. But more than that, as you're kind of like looking him over, you take a little side glance at the face for a second, and it looks similar to a face you've seen in your brother's band before. And it starts to make you wonder if he's here. Not here exactly, but in this land with you, or if this is a horrible coincidence. And that's kind of all I was here for, really.
Just curious, has he spotted me, or has I?
Oh no,
or
it's
have
a
I
dead
only
body.
seen him? Oh, is it the one in front of us?
Yeah. It's a diggity dead body.
Yeah, just writing down notes.
Yes. Okay. I'll show me this back unless there's anything you have to say.
Sorry.
So,
That's better. Well, other than the fact that, yeah, he looks very similar. He looks similar to a man who was part of my brother's war band. Does he look slightly different in any other shape or form since I last saw him, or genuinely the same as when I left?
in a very weird way, he's got more scars, obviously. He's a fighter, that will happen.
Yeah.
But beyond that, he looks exactly the same. Literally down to the T. Besides some scars, the hair's the same, the outfit's the same. That's why it kind of caught you very immediately. He looks exactly the same as you last saw him. You'd have figured it would have taken at least a second, but the second you turned the corner and you saw the upright body, even though it's rested against the rock, and you can see its face, it caught you so quickly that you got struck as if you were back home again, as your brother was nearby. Until you had that moment of clarity where it's like, he doesn't look any different. And that's, yeah. Anything else?
Probably not until we get back to, well, main chat, because what I'm probably gonna do is, if it's safe to do so, I might inspect the body. Just, well, more or less just to well, basically confirm it's definitely him, but just to, quote, make it look like I'm just genuinely checking over him just for any official scars to see what's killed him.
Mhm.
So to a degree, I am being deceptive, but I'm not, because
I mean, they have
I'm
no reason
genuinely
to doubt you, so.
exactly. So that's more or less the game plan of what I plan on doing, anyway.
Okay. Oh, then let's go.
Okay.
Hey, host.
Ah,
So, those of you who can, do. You have the floor.
okay, I do. I do what?
Whatever you want, really.
Uh,
Just with power. I will say because...
meow.
Oh god, where did you go?
Nothing.
The fear. As, in the case of Unidis anyway, you can see at the corner of your vision a couple of people.
Fish people?
People?
2 seconds. Enhance. What can I see? Talk to me. Ethereal voice.
If you look toward the right of the map.
Yes.
You see similar figures to the ones that were strewn outside and the one that's currently to your left. They appear to be hugging a wall, looking around the corner at something. They don't seem to have noticed you guys' presence as of yet. And in their hand at the minute is a shield, the other with a sword. And they appear to be just glancing at something, getting ready to strike by the look in their eyes.
How tall are you, Soul?
So,
How tall am I?
Yes.
1 meter. I didn't write it down, but it's about 1 meter 73, I would say.
Ah, okay. I guess because you're closest, I'll like grab your like arm, like your shirt or whatever, like tuck it. I see people.
just to
You
check,
see dead
you're
people?
being quiet. with
No, two.
this?
Yeah, I'm just like, hey.
Okay.
I see 2 people. They seem scared.
Where exactly?
Just down the corridor. Maybe.
Like here,
Wait.
and I point over.
No, a little beyond that. Maybe
Oh.
maybe 10 feet more.
Okay,
They-
I can't see that far, but we can go and check it out.
Are
You guys
they
up for it?
As
are
you're
they friends?
as you're saying that, you see as they start to move around the corner, and you both hear the sounds of footsteps suddenly rushing off in that direction at something. And then
They ran away.
you hear a battle cry cheer down the corridor, and the sound of blades hitting stone at first. And then the sounds of a feral, familiar, almost screeching from a Sahagin nearby that's caught off guard.
I will go down on all fours. Defensive posture like.
I will slowly move up towards the bend that I can see.
Mhm.
Very careful not to move too fast, and I will only like peek my head out slowly.
Wait, and I'm gonna tell the guys that we're going this way because we heard some shit going down.
Mhm.
Lee, 1 second. Is that water shallow?
It seems to be a very small stream, so you could easily put your foot in it and it would mean nothing.
Fair enough. I'm just going to quickly walk over here and just examine that body.
Mm.
That's just here.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
Right.
Swanner's person, of course, is the battle axe. His armor will mean basically nothing to you now. It seems to have been not really heavily damaged, but it's been used way too much over time, and a lot of any of the fibers that would be there have fallen apart over time, worn and torn. The hide is non-usable. The steel plates are pieces. But as you're like checking the inner vest, you do find what looks to be a small coin pouch as well as an unfolded letter. And as you pick it out and you look at it, it's worn at the edges and it's slightly smattered with bits of blood, but it probably could have just been his own at some point. And
Okay.
yeah.
I'll take the coin pouch and I'll have a little look at the letter. Has it got anything particular written on it?
I will tell you in a moment. Firstly, the coin pouch has 24 silver.
Yeah, we take those.
It also has 14 gold pieces.
Well, I'll also take those.
In the letter, as you kind of like open it up, you kind of like quick scan it. It seems mostly just whatever. As you're like reading it over, it's just saying that they've heard rumors about a target nearby, but before that, I want you to investigate this camp. A large tower appeared out of nowhere. Kill everything you can find, take whatever you can from it. There might be loot beneath. And it's marked in kind of a rough hand by someone named Rasmandis.
Okay. That's Mendez.
Hmm.
Okay, fair enough. That's quite an interesting name.
So lurkers.
Mendez.
Yes. So lurkers, what are you doing over there?
Well, I will. I'll just hug like this wall, still on all fours, and I'll just try to peek around the corner until I see something.
As you look around, you see the two men just now polishing their blades, and you see the one on the left is talking as he's looking to the one on the right. Yeah, I think that'll do. These fucking fish are disgusting, though. The place stinks. You see, he flicks his blade. Oh no, look. The boss wants us to try find something here, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. Stink or not. Anyway, this'll be easy if they're all like this. Seriously, that one was pathetic. Just staring at the eggs like it was fucking hypnotised. Anyway, come on. We gotta meet the others a little bit further down. And keep quiet, will you? That last one nearly hurt us. And then you see as they slowly, like, pitter-patter through the water and make their ways over.
They left. They seem to be looking for something. Should we
Maybe
talk
we
to
can
them?
check. Nah, just sneak around for a bit.
Okay.
As Sol says that, I sort of like come up from behind him and I just say, "Oh yeah, I don't know what's just happened."
Two guys are looking for something.
Okay, that explains something. Because the corpse back there had a particular blood-stained letter. I'll show the letter to Sol.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like the same group.
Yep. And it
Probably a
seems
battle between Sahagan and those men.
they don't really seem that tribal to me, to be honest. But that's just assuming, considering some of the people we've come across at the camp.
They mentioned a boss.
That would probably be this Rosmandas fellow. It
They
states
seem
it on the letter. A guy named, well, by the boss, which is the insignia of Rosmandas, apparently.
Does the name Rasmandus ring a bell for anyone, Lee?
Everyone can make me a history check.
A what check?
History.
History, okay.
Damn, bitch!
1 second, I will roll mine.
Well,
18.
I said history, but you can incite thin air if you want. Do you want to do a history? Although, to be fair, considering Moses is fucking 20, it's passive knowledge anyway.
Yeah.
So, the name... The only one that you can think of that would be anything of any degree of renown is someone that used to be a famous knight, but the details got a little bit sketchy at some point. Eventually, his name was kind of lost to that fable, and he made his own as something of a... People deemed him a bandit at first, a raider, but he became something slightly more than that in quite a few years as of recent. Whether or not it's the same man or one of his children, supposedly he's had several offspring. The only real notable one would be maybe Mundo. But even then, he himself is not likely to do something as tiny as this. He's more of a take over a castle kind of person. He's more grand scale and has slightly more intelligence than just coming here. So the people that are here are probably the grunts. Or maybe they serve someone under him. But to be specific to a face...
What was the name again?
It is this fella.
Okay.
Wait, is that the guy who's like the famous knight person, or the person who's the son?
No. This is the one who was originally supposed to be a very high-stationed knight, but there was a lot of ifs, ands, or buts about why he fell from his stats. The son, however, is this fella.
Oh, god damn, it looks almost like the mountain. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Travis is the father, knightly figure, that fell from grace, supposedly, and Mundo is the son. So it can only be one of them two that these people work for, with the name Rasmandis anyway. And again, they are essentially thought of as high estate raiders. The son may be a different story, but yeah. He's had quite a few offspring.
quite a few offspring.
But Mundo's the the more notable. There is, again, there's a lot of speculation surrounding their family, but there's mention of another child that they disowned or had disappeared or just couldn't meet the standard or went their own path. Again, there's a lot of speculation featuring that family. But yeah, that's what you get.
So what you're telling us is Soa's somewhat quite well read up on history then.
He's a
Jesus
worldly
Christ.
man.
He's really he really is an Indiana Jones history teacher on the side and then
History buff.
explorer on his free time.
What if it turns out Sol is one of the kids?
Oh damn.
Hmm.
That would be a plot twist.
Hmm.
So, you all have the floor.
This will investigate. Ooh. 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 Poke, poke.
The body is unresponsive, though it twitches nonetheless, but it seems like a death spasm.
I'm guessing with that history check, that Soul kind of revealed this little bit of information to us. I say little
Oh
bit.
yeah, of course. Loves to blabber on about history and things. So, yeah.
Extensively.
Mm-hmm.
It is dead.
You see that on the body, it does have a net on its hip, as well as a single spear that it just about barely clutched onto before they attacked. Other than that, it seemed like it was tending to the eggs, just doing whatever it can. Collecting them, surprisingly. Now that you guys notice and you look around, there are still eggs here, but it looks like the clusters are a lot smaller than what Nadissa made it sound out to be, and from what you've seen of the already cracked open eggs. So either they're relocating again, or something's happening.
Push. Push.
You just saying push as you walk in.
Coast is clear.
Carrick will follow up later.
Where's Dragon Man?
Carrick will look behind him, just shrug, just say, I think he's waiting on bro. Ah, yeah, there.
Sorry, I was browsing on another page.
It's good. Right.
This will continue.
Okay.
Big open space. Nadissa sees no one though. Ooh, waterfall. Oop. Oop. Get a pet. Run across the rocks. Oh, dead fish man.
Carrick's just gonna stop here and somewhat crouch down quite low.
Mm-hmm.
This place is.
Brick's the closest person to me, isn't he?
Currently, yes.
I will get Brick's attention with a solid fist up, sort of like to hold up. and then just gesture him to come close and crouch down with me.
He gives you a fist bump, by the way.
I sort of smile at that, and then I just gesture him to come down next to me and get low.
He kneels, kind of like looks around.
And I point my finger towards down that way.
You see that he kind of like peeks his head across the corner a little bit, and he shakes his head to say yes.
I sort of turn around to Halfir. Actually, no, to Soul as he comes walking by, and I'll sort of like tug at Soul's leg, sort of like grab his trousers and just tug him, just to get him time
Pull
to
his
get low
pants
to
down,
whisper.
you know.
Yeah, totally, sure.
No means no. What are you doing?
There's a Sahagin down there.
Well, I can't see it, so I'll believe you.
I'll just sort of like move out of the way so you can get down to where I am. Just sort of like nudge over a little bit. Oh wait,
Yeah.
you haven't got
see
dark.
it.
You haven't got dark vision, do you?
No, not really.
Oh, fair enough. As I go to move by and you sort of like strain your eyes, I sort of like, yeah, there's a Sahagin down there. But this is a bit of a drop down, so we should be fine. And I don't think it spotted us, so we might need to just be wary that there are Sahagin from that way. So
You do notice as well, similar to the last one, this one is currently collecting small clutches of eggs and putting it into a little net that's attached to its side, and it's being very tender with them.
I think you're right about the fact this is some form of a daycare. I wonder if there is another way around to that point over there. There are paths that probably suggest so. So it might be worth us either. Well, it might just be worth us continuing down across here. And I just point towards there.
There's another dead fishman over there.
So by the looks of it, we have two options here. We can either follow the trail of dead bodies until we come across, well, the collective group just to assess how many of them there are and hopefully not get spotted. Or we can climb down and, well, hopefully not encounter too many Sahagins, make our own way through and maybe, well, get ahead of the group of, I suppose, bandits / raiders. What do you guys think?
Maybe we can sneak past this one down there.
We can do. That was more or less the collective idea I had in mind, but sneaking's not exactly my forte.
Well, if they are collecting eggs, they must be taking care of them, right?
Yes, but like all form of care, well, things that care for their own eggs, or eggs, well, carers in general, they're not probably going to really be taking kind to strangers coming about their habitats, are they?
What if we punch them really hard, but don't kill them?
We could try. But like I said, we could either jump down and try and get ahead, which would be the ambitious way, Or what I'd probably say is the more subtle way is we follow the body of, well, the trail of corpses.
But this didn't like those two people. They seemed very nasty.
I'm assuming that there's more. There's not going to be just two of them clearing out a cave like this. It might be wise to assess their numbers.
3 people?
Wait, those three? I thought you guys said there was two of them.
No,
Atlesia just said.
this was being funny.
You said there might be more.
Yeah, there might be more because there are multiple pathways.
Yeah, so the desert was like, you mean like 3 people?
Carrick just ignores that and just says, yeah, there might be more people.
Or 4 people.
Oh, four. But yeah, it's dependent. I'd probably say it might be wise following to see how many there are, because if we do try to get ahead and, well, they have more people in front of us, we might just stumble into them. But the same could be said if we start following their corpses.
We could keep following and keep an ear out in case we hear anything and stop and be cautious.
What do you think, Alfie?
So he's looking over towards the Sahagin, and he's been observing what they're doing. Then he looks behind him at the clutches of eggs around you each. Why don't we just get its attention and leave an egg in a very precarious situation, and then when they come and grab it, we throw a couple of hits on it. Or if you want to be merciful, we could always just wait for it to come over and drop a really heavy rock on its head if you want to be primitive.
Ooh.
I knew you would have that result.
I would go find a rock.
Medusa.
I sort of look and I just say, okay, so it seems to be we're going to be ambitious about this one, eh?
Atlesia will try to lift this rock with all her might.
As you're like pulling at it, you notice you can't grab underneath it, and you just start like pulling at the sides, and as you're pulling, it's just like just. For everyone else, as you look, it is literally a part of the floor, unless she specifically had enough strength to tear it out of the ground, separating it entirely. It's not going anywhere.
And I will try another rock. Trial and error.
It'll work eventually.
Iteration means progression.
So,
Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
yes.
Just curious. This little bit here is a 15-foot drop, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How is this drop wise? Is this wall here like curved or anything, or is it like
No.
a mix, just
It's
flat stone, or is it just like a mixture
You could
of?
climb down. It would be like rock climbing downward. It would require a check still, but you could do it.
Yeah. If that's the case, I'll probably start to climb down slowly then.
Make an athletics check.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I mean, perfect amount of distance too. So yeah, you very quickly and easily managed to climb down. Brick will attempt to follow suit. Oh yeah, baby. Wasted on this, but fuck it.
I'm just gonna pick up an egg from this little cluster then.
Okay. As you're like grasping at it, you can feel it's stuck against the wall almost by some kind of green like slick, some weird kind of like goo almost. But you manage to pry it free, and as you're pulling it, you feel almost as if, even with the bare minimal strength you're putting into pulling it out, that the shell is cracking even with that much pressure. And you kind of like resist for a second, and then slowly manage to pry it free.
Oh, fair enough. I'm going to be very basic here. Are you ready for this?
Have I found a rock?
You would have found a rock. It's more like
Well,
a slab.
I've got the egg, and I'm just going to simply start slowly walking over to the Sahagin with a face of no hostility whatsoever and just plain faced.
Make a persuasion check.
Persuasion, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just going to walk to the Sahagin with egg in hand.
So, as you start walking along, you hear the gentle tapping of your foot against the solid ground, and the sound it reverberates. They do immediately turn and look toward you, and as you do come into line of sight, they do immediately draw a spear. They push the clutch of eggs behind them. They hold the spear up enough that you don't get a 5-foot gap closed between them. And as they're looking at you, looking at the egg, looking you up and down with intention for a second, and a bit of then confusion. And then you see as they kind of take one very tiny step back, keeping the spear pointed as close to you as they can. You see as they slightly turn their head a little to the left and look you up and down a bit more. And then you hear it go, you hear the sounds of slapping wet feet as another comes running up from out of nowhere with a spear in hand. And this one looks slightly more built. It looks pseudo-muscular. There's no like obvious popping veins or anything, but this one stands a little taller. Its back arches a little less, and its face, the more of teeth extend out longer around its mouth, and they look sharper. And its eyes look you up and down, and the spear heft and pointed toward you. It moves a little closer and pushes the tip of the spear not into you, but just directly against your chest. As you see, it holds the spear with one hand, and the other moves forward and attempts to grab the egg out of your hand.
I just show that my hand is very loosened and only asserting balance for the egg to just sit on while just looking at it. And I look to the spear and I look to it.
As it takes the egg out of your hand and passes the egg back without losing sight of you, the other one takes the egg, puts it away. The other one stood behind this one with the spear up against you now. they look concerned, but also intrigued slightly. The one with the spear pressed against you, still looking at you. It steps in front of the other one and says something, and then the other one starts to very quickly move away and disappears off into the distance. You can hear the slapping feet moving. It then puts another couple of feet of distance between you, the spear tip still pointed at you. It then looks past where you came from. If anyone has any intention of hiding, make a stealth check.
Okie dokie. I'm trying to hide, sort of, but I don't know.
For the sake of context, that would be
Oh
anyone.
my god.
That would be you three, pretty much. Okay. Let's see what they see. So as you're there, Vornex, as you attempt to like slink down into a plank on top of the edge and hide yourself, there's a moment where a couple of rocks scatter off the top, and the creature's eyes immediately are drawn toward it, and they just about see the tips of your horns and the top of your head. And as they see you somewhat, the teeth kind of, the gums fold back a little, the mouth moves, and you see rows of teeth inside of its mouth as it turns and looks at you, Carrick, with the tip of the spear still pointed at you. And you see its head motion towards the cliff side.
You mean behind me?
Mm-hmm.
I will look, squint, and then turn around and give it a confused look.
You feel as it presses the spear tip just a little bit, not enough to do any real damage, but there's a little needle sharp pain for a second.
Any chance I could quietly crawl back, just out of view?
Sure, make a stealth check. Nice. So you kind of like slowly are like shuffling until you fade into obscurity.
As it does that, my face will go from a confused squint to a slight tinge of anger as it does that. And I want it to know that what it's doing to me is making me slightly agitated, considering I just gave it an egg.
So it remains looking at you, understanding the
No,
simple premise.
You know, I'll keep eye contact with it, just giving a full on, just giving it the same look as it's giving me at this point, just eye to eye. Mexican standoff, if you will.
Mexican stare off.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is there anything anyone wants to do as for the next?
Just his arms are getting tired.
When do I throw it? You see as the creature still stood there, its head turns to the left every so often, not enough for its eyes to dodge you, but every now and again it just slightly looks in the corner of its vision. And then you hear the sounds of multiple feet slapping against the ground with that thudding sound again, as a series of them come from around the corner. And they each look you over with a mixture of surprise and some of ferocity. As you see immediately with this new cluster, the one that was holding you back releases the spear slowly as others surround and block the exit. Each pointing but not pressing the spears toward you as they look at you. And you see as they start to communicate between themselves. Some start to point. The one that was holding the spear at you originally is looking at them each, and you can see a degree of confusion that turns very quickly into anger.
I'm going to clench my fists as they start to surround me and give a look of concern. Like a cornered animal, if you will. So it's a universal language that anything will understand.
Mm-hmm. Checking a thing real quick. What languages can everybody speak? I don't think anyone can speak.
Barely any.
Be right back real quick.
Oh, this is fun. I think the only thing that is going to be somewhat of a saving grace is when they're sending the majority of them over here, but then they'll start noticing that they're being attacked from the other side by a different group of people, which all I can say is I hope they don't think it's us. But at least we're somewhat seeing some of the numbers.
Hi.
Hello.
Boy.
So yeah.
Can we
Yes.
stop for today?
That is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late now.
Tears, oh
That's
my
fine
god,
with me
Jesus,
then.
where did the time go?
Right out the window.
Right out the window. Cool. I'm going to actually disappear now anyway, because my other half is home and it is dinner time.
Dinner time.
Dinner time!